Welcome to the Gals Guide podcast. Join us on an adventure to get to know famous and infamous women from around the world. Each of our presenters has a pick. Is she ancient history? Is she breaking news? Is she safe for work? Well, that's up to each presenter. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Welcome back. I'm Katie, and I'm joined by Riwu, Josh, and Bonnie sharing our creative expression pick. Bonnie already told us about Edmonia Lewis, the sculptor, and Josh already told us about Francois de Aubonne, the literary genius.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one of the great thinkers about ecofeminism.
Beautiful. Yes.
And I cannot wait to share my pick with y'all.
Yes.
But first, I have a question for you guys.
What is
Gals and guys.
Gals, pals of gals. All the things. Yes.
Can creative rebellion be more effective than direct activism or protest?
Dun, dun, dun.
What do you think?
I have a theory. I know. I'm going to go with a theory.
A manifesto?
When it's creative rebellion, whether it's in any kind of art form, it has legs and staying power, and it can be called back again when the same shit happens again with inspiration. When direct activism or protest is, in my theory, momentary. It's this bill or this divisiveness or this thing to stop in that moment. We can learn a lot from like protests and activism going forward in the future. I feel like creative rebellion just has legs. It has staying power. But is it as effective? That's where my theory falls flat. I have no idea.
I was thinking along the same lines.
Okay.
Is like, because direct action has that immediate impact.
Yeah, and it could really work like right away.
Yes.
Yes.
And whereas the creative rebellion has more of a staying power.
Yeah.
It can be kind of read over, thought over, looked at if it's a painting.
Yeah.
And analyzed for years to come and find new meaning and stuff over time.
Yeah.
Where if you're doing that with direct action, it has to be something big that's going to be in a history book that can be looked back upon.
Like a march or a protest or
Something,
demonstration.
yeah, something that's going to be remembered where...
A sit-in.
Yeah.
Where creative work, I think, has more of a chance of changing a culture.
Right.
Than a direct action.
Exactly. You were about to say
I
something
think
too,
I usually remember the creative acts more than just people being there. Like the Women's March signs, I remember the creative signs.
Right, yeah.
I don't remember just the, like there's always the ERA now, but like the, like I'm 85 and I can't believe I still have to protest this shit.
Right. It's that kind of creative expression and realism that lends to it. Yeah. This is true. I mean, I think we need both.
Yeah. So I was going to say, it really sounds like what you guys are saying is in some aspects they go hand in hand, but kind of come at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
So they work together.
Exactly.
And I do think the creative rebellion has more of a chance of becoming part of our pop culture.
Yes.
So as you guys say, that staying power, that always on your mind, like we can recall the songs that were written about Vietnam protests.
Yep.
We can look at the protests too, because the people that wrote those songs, they were probably there at the protest as well.
Right. Inspired by one mirroring another.
Through the time. So
yeah.
But now they're in diaper commercials.
Right. That is the weird. What would they think of if they knew? Oh, yeah, this is true. I mean, I'll still even think of the Green Day album "American Idiot" as the Second Iraq War. Like to me, those are tied into each other as a protest. So
those guys apparently are.
Are they working on another one?
I don't know about working on another one, but I guess they're still touring.
Yes.
And they're making comments while they're playing.
Ooh, look at that.
Nice.
I do love my Green Day.
Very
Sweet.
cool.
Do you have a pick for us, Katie?
I do. And funny enough, when we decide what order we're going to go in for the show, because we record all in one night, usually we'll ask, who's feeling it?
Yeah.
Does anybody have a special birthday or date of their people?
Yeah.
we didn't really talk birthdays.
We didn't. Yeah.
Ironically, my gal's birthday, April 23rd.
Oh my gosh.
Which is probably very close to when this is coming out, since I'll be the third
Perfect.
week
Look
in
at
April.
you. Good job. Serendipitous right there. Yeah,
and
yeah.
my gal has a lot of same coincidental type things with Bonnie's Edmona.
Oh, very nice. I like it.
My gal was also born in New York on April 23rd, 1907.
Sweet.
She was born Elizabeth Miller.
Okay.
She went by Lee.
Gotcha.
So all of
Lee
her
Miller.
artistic famous works you will see under Lee Miller.
Gotcha.
She was an American photographer and photojournalist.
Okay. Gotcha.
However, her biography, the first biography written about her, was written by her son in 1985, and he titled it "The Many Lives of Lee Miller."
Oh, okay.
So even though that just two things, American photographer, photojournalist, there's a lot more. I think it was a very well-named book because she definitely lived many lives. And I think she died when she was 70.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, not super young, but not, but not the oldest of the old.
Yeah.
But yeah, she didn't become a mother until she was 40.
Oh, nice.
So she definitely experienced a lot of life.
Yeah.
And I feel like, unfortunately, in a lot of those lives, she had a good deal of tragedy, too.
Oh, yeah,
When she was very young, living in New York, she went to spend some time with a family friend. And while she was there, as a 7-year-old, she was raped.
Oh,
and
no.
Because of that rape, got gonorrhea.
Oh.
That it took her a really long time to get over.
Yeah.
So definitely starting life so young with such a traumatic experience, I think it really had an impact on her.
As it would, yeah.
Yeah, because then you see under like early life and education, it talks about that she was always getting kicked out of schools because of her behavior.
Right. It kind of makes sense.
I'd be fucking pissed too if that's what I was dealing with as a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
However, despite that, I didn't see much on the internet in the videos I watched on YouTube, and I watched a movie about her. I didn't see a lot that looked like she was angry at her parents or had begrudging towards her parents. There wasn't much information other than that her dad was also into photography.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's a little blurb that said she was often his model for his photography and often posed nude.
I was worried about that.
You saw where I was going with that one?
Yeah, I was worried. I was hoping. I'm like, no, it won't be.
Maybe in the 1910s, it's not a crime.
Oh.
Because, that was
Still
during
wrong.
the days of, the human form and body was very part of art photography.
Doesn't make it right.
No. Just trying to put ourselves in the culture at the time.
Yeah, no. It's a miracle she lived to 70.
However,
wow. Yeah.
The moment she turned 18, she went to Paris.
Yes, there you go.
I'm not at all surprised by that decision.
Yeah.
While she was in Paris, I think she studied, I read costume design.
Okay.
And artistic outlets, as always.
Yeah.
However, she had to return home. I don't know why, but at 19, she was back at home. She went back to school for a little bit, and then she moved to New York City.
Okay.
And it was there that she was about to step into the street. We all have this big moment, right?
Yes.
This big discovery moment.
Yeah.
She's about to step into the street in front of a car, and she was grabbed and pulled back by the editor of Condé Nast.
Oh.
And that led to her
nice.
being featured on the cover of Vogue magazine.
Oh, wow.
So then she started her career as a model. I know that story sounds a little too fake, doesn't it?
No,
but
I mean...
it's on the interwebs, so it's
exactly.
true.
Well, especially at that time period, too, where it's just like, it's not like there's an internet
Caps
casting call.
Crazy
You know what I'm saying?
in that time period.
You gotta grab people from the street.
You gotta grab them from the street. They'll be dead.
Right. You're too pretty to
From
be hit
cars.
by a bus.
Right. And she was gorgeous.
There you go.
Yeah,
See?
very, very
Nice.
pretty woman. So she spent a couple of years in New York as a model, but also working with fine art photographers.
Gotcha.
And not only did she model for them, but she wanted to learn from them.
Yeah.
There's this quote that I've seen multiple times by her, and it says, "I'd rather take a picture than be in a picture."
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
That's my motto.
Right,
I know
same,
it is.
Same. I relate.
as a person who's like, where's a photo of me at this particular thing?
Yeah, see, I take it to the extreme of I don't want people in my pictures because people ruin pictures.
Yeah, they do.
So when she was modeling an image taken of her by one of her famous dudes she's learning from,
Sure, right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
was sold to the Kotex brand without her knowledge.
Oh, she's selling feminine products now.
And they used it in an ad to sell pads.
Great.
And since we all know that's terribly disgusting and unnatural and
it happens.
offensive,
But you wanted to...
menstruation in pads, you just can't, no. Very unappealing.
I mean, if the check is sizable...
Well, she didn't get the check.
I figured that was also
The photographer sold her image.
Yes.
She did not get the check.
Oh,
but she became known as the Kotex girl from this ad and wasn't getting much work anymore as a model because of her image
period,
now
obviously.
as selling feminine products, which, once again, ew.
It's almost like the Friends episode where Joey's on the gonorrhea ad.
Right. Very much so.
Yeah.
And I didn't find anything of how she reacted to this.
Right.
However,
Couldn't
there's
have
part
been
of me
great.
that wonders if she actually was a little relieved.
Right.
You know, okay, I don't have to model. I can swerve, go a different direction.
I hope so.
Yes.
It was the sign she was looking for to take control of her life, perhaps.
And live that quote, be behind the camera, not in front of it.
Yeah.
Although she wasn't done being in front of it.
That's
but
fine.
She went to Paris after that.
Okay, sweet.
And specifically because she wanted to work with Man Ray.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Surrealist type photographer there, very famous. And so she went to him and he said, I don't do apprentices, I don't do students. And she's like, well, now you do.
Oh, nice.
I'm your student. I'm your apprentice.
A boss lady. Like it.
Yes. And so he took her on. They actually eventually became lovers as well.
Ooh.
And lived together and worked together.
Nice.
It was there that they came up with a new technique called solarism. If I say it drawn out enough, I can find the actual word here.
Yes.
Solarization. Solarization.
Okay, gotcha. Is it just kind of using the sun as a light source?
Nope.
No? Oh,
nope.
okay.
It's a photographic technique, and it didn't describe... I didn't get as technical as Josh. I'm not good at the rabbit holes.
Okay.
I had to watch a whole film, guys.
It's okay.
But I can kind of infer what it is based on the story of how it was discovered, because it was a little bit disputed if it was Man Ray or Lee Miller that came up with this technique.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He had his story. She had her story.
He said, she said.
And she said that it happened by accident because she was in the dark room developing her images and a mouse ran over her foot and she flipped on the light.
Oh, okay.
So it's a process where they're exposing extra light during because, normally to develop photos, it would be all done in the dark, maybe red light only to give you that. Well, obviously, little red light, you have to be able to freaking see your chemicals.
Right. Exactly.
And so what this did was it kind of transposed where things should have been, because they were photographing in black and white.
Right.
So it would transpose it where things that were black are now white, things that were white are now black.
Like reversing the negative.
And it made it look very surreal.
Oh, okay. Happy accident, probably.
Probably.
Okay, all right.
And I did see in a few different sources that during this time, it's very probable that some of Man Ray's photos that were published were actually Lee Miller's work.
No. That's never happened where the dude gets credit for the woman's work.
But I get over all feel that, she just wanted to learn things and experience things and create art.
Yeah.
She never put a lot of time into promoting her art or trying to sell it.
Right. So maybe she didn't really care whose name it was?
I don't think she was super worried, but she did eventually leave him and start her own studio.
Nice.
But they remained friends the rest of her life.
Okay.
So
probably wasn't any sour grapes then.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So she had a studio in France for a little bit of time, and then she returned to New York City, where she had a portrait and commercial photography studio that she had with her brother Eric. her
Gotcha.
only sibling.
Yeah.
She did that for a couple years, and then she met an Egyptian businessman.
Oh.
Very
the word
mysterious, very
rich
sexy.
in front of any
I'm
of that?
assuming it's somewhere in the mix.
Okay. All right.
So she marries him and goes to Egypt.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
And while there, she didn't hit her photography as hard. It's kind of referred to as a lull in her creative
Sure.
output.
Yeah.
However, she did still take photos, and there's some you can see that she took
Yeah.
of, like, you know,
Maybe she
the
just wasn't putting them
desert
out in
and
the
that
galleries.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
There you go.
And then I read in 2 different places that then she got bored.
Okay.
I feel like there might be something more in there,
Right.
but she left Egypt and went back to France.
Okay.
She stayed with artist friends of hers in France. She had lots of famous connections and people she knew, and was kind of just like hanging out, living her life. And that's when she met Roland Penrod.
Okay. Gotcha.
He's an English gentleman.
All right. He's probably has nothing to do with the Penrod Festival,
Yep.
correct? Okay. All right.
Really?
As far as I know.
Well, he's a surrealist painter.
Oh,
Well,
there you
let's-
go.
I don't
Look it
know.
up here.
We'll find out from
Penrods of it
Bonnie.
all. Sweet.
So she's still married to her Egyptian guy. Just
Oh,
throwing
okay.
that out
Right,
there.
right. Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
she and Roland, or no, Bonnie, I'm the worst. I'm from Indiana, so Penrod is in my head. Penrose is his name.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Roland
Penrose.
Penrose.
Oh,
I
He is
still
an
don't know why
English
she called it
rose.
Penrod, though.
My
Right.
bad.
You're good. You're good.
So she ended up following Roland back to England, where they
Okay.
lived together.
Sure. And meanwhile, she's still married.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
know,
sure, it happens.
nobody seems upset about it. It's fine with
She
me.
was bored.
Mhm.
Right.
And this was right at the beginning of the World War II outbreak,
Okay.
where she is there in London. And as things intensify and the war starts coming over to Europe, she really wants to be involved in some way. I think, that was the message everybody was getting in World War II. Like, where can you pitch in? How
Yeah.
can you be involved? We got to
For
get through
crown
this
and
together.
country. Yeah.
hmm So she went to the Vogue office in London and said she wanted a job.
Yeah.
She ended up working as a volunteer
Right. There you go.
and
It's
taking
wartime. Yeah.
photos that basically the war effort wanted women to see in the magazine.
Oh, okay.
So she took
All right.
pictures of nurses
Yeah.
and different aspects of that, pictures of the kind of gas mask they want women to have.
Wow.
There's a very famous photo of hers where it's like a cellar that goes down to her bomb shelter at her own personal house, and
Right.
there's these women modeling
the different gas
different
mask
gas
variety.
masks and mask stuff, right?
Quality. Yes.
So she's doing her part. However, she wants to be on the front lines. She wants to be more
Yeah.
involved. She wants to see more, do more, learn about it,
Yeah.
bring it back to people home. And so she said she wanted to be a war correspondent.
Yeah.
They said, no, women are not war correspondents.
They are also Vogue.
Well, she had a really
Yeah.
great relationship with the editor of
Yeah.
the Vogue in London. And it really wasn't Vogue that stopped her. Like, literally, it was the military saying, like,
to get her on the front lines, they didn't want
Women.
women near the front.
women do not go. This is
Great.
not your spot.
Yeah.
And it's at that point that Lee remembered she's American.
Right.
And America is sending women
Oh.
to the front.
So
To
she
the
talks to
be
the U.S.
photojournalist.
Army.
So she goes and she, as an American citizen to photograph the war. And she still had a lot of resistance. A lot of what she photographed were, men in the medical tents, not always like right there in the front of things.
Yeah.
But they told her she could go to one of the towns that had been won over by us.
By us.
By us.
The U.S.
by the Americans, and it was Saint Paulo
Okay.
in France. I think it's France. My geography is not the best.
You're good. There's a
So
lot
anyway,
of saints in
There's a lot of saints.
saint
yeah.
cities in all over Europe. So yes.
However, their intel was wrong, and it was in the middle of a battle.
Oh, gotcha.
So she literally was in the front lines in the middle of this battle when she arrived.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
And in fact, her photographs from that battle included the first recorded use of napalm.
Oh goodness.
There's an image of hers with like this very interesting cloud shape that they say was the first use of napalm.
Wow.
So after she got her her snaps, they realized she was here. The battle was still going, so she was put on house arrest.
Oh my god.
And her movements were restricted.
Well, didn't they have other problems to deal with?
Can't be losing those pretty women photojournalists.
Yeah,
What was she supposed
that's
to
the
do?
big
Just
problem.
wait outside the town?
Right. You guys almost done fighting this battle here? Got some photos I'd like to take.
She was also in Paris during the liberation of Paris.
Oh.
So she took photos of that, and she helped get the Paris Vogue back on its feet.
There you go.
And then she decided, she had a very good photographer friend, David Sherman.
Okay.
And he's always been, his whole career was working for Life magazine.
Oh, okay.
And he's an American, a fellow American. They had known each other before they left to go be war correspondents, which, by the way, she's pretty much one of the very first female war correspondents.
Nice.
And so they decided to follow the army as they pushed into Germany.
Mm-hmm.
The tides were turning. The war was about to be won.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was one of the first few photojournalists that were allowed into the concentration camps.
To document what was happening and what had happened.
And it had a hugely profound impact on her, as I'm sure everybody who witnessed those atrocities. And you can see online, if you choose to see, a lot of the photos she took at the different concentration camps. They're super, super sad.
Yeah.
But she really, I think one of the things I was reading and getting was that she took her time to compose her shots, to take them. Was like, I mean, if I were having to take photos of that, I would probably want to get done as fast as I could and get away, because that's a lot to take in and to see.
Right.
But she framed her shots and
she wanted
really
to do them justice and
did so much
intention.
to document what happened. In fact, after she sent those photos back, she fought super hard to get them put in the British Vogue.
Yeah.
They wouldn't put it in. They said the war is over. People are putting it behind them. They're getting past it. And she was devastated that those photos weren't included, because she said, no, people need to see these photos.
Right. So we never do this again.
Right. They did publish them in the American Vogue, though.
Oh, okay. All
They had
right.
an entire article that were her photos inside the concentration camp.
Gotcha.
If you look at Lee Miller online, you'll also see one of her most famous photographs. I mean, I guess you could say she took it. She composed it. She set it up. Her friend David did the
It did the
clicker.
clickety-click. There you go.
And this didn't set well with a lot of people. But
Yeah.
after she saw the concentration camps, they went into, I think they're in
The city or camp or?
Munich.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
in Munich. I was trying to decide if it was Berlin or Munich.
Okay.
They're
gotcha.
in Munich. They went into the city, and they bribed their way into Hitler's personal apartments in Munich.
Yeah.
And this shot is Lee Miller sitting in Hitler's bathtub, nude.
That photo, yeah.
Before she got in the tub, she wiped her dirty, muddy boots on his bath towel, and you can see them framed in the photo. And she has also found a portrait of Hitler from his apartment that she carried in and propped up on the bath.
As a statement. Yes, that's the one. Yup. Exactly. I mean, is it a rebel photo?
I would say so.
Of a rebel time. Yeah.
I would say so.
I'm sure she got a lot of flack for it, but I get where she's coming from.
Yeah. And then she also took her friend David Schirmer's picture in the same tub. And as a Jewish man bathing in Hitler's tub, she actually backed up to include the shower head. And it's been said that might have been purposeful, because they had just seen the showers at the concentration camp. And now here he is in Hitler's shower.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. Powerful.
So she was so powerfully affected by what she saw and what she witnessed, and wanting to tell the story.
Yeah.
That even after her friend David went home, she was still pushing in. She wanted to go to Romania and Hungary and see the impact. And David and Roland Penrose were begging her to come home.
Gotcha.
And she's no, I need to show people what has happened.
Yeah. She was activated in a way. Yeah.
For it. And she did come home periodically and then go out on assignments. And it was when she was in Switzerland that she realized she was pregnant with Roland's baby at 40. So at that point, she did go back home. She did projects here and there. But really, a lot of her photography kind of stopped and she really shut down after what she saw in Germany. Her negatives, camera, all of that was packed up in the attic. Gotcha. She did do a few projects for her husband, and she was very close friends with Pablo Picasso.
Gotcha.
So she did some photographs of him for a biography book on him and stuff like that. And a few little projects here and there, but largely, especially her being a photojournalist, that part of her career, she really just shut down. Yeah. And her son, who I said wrote her biography, really had no idea about what his mother's life had been. And what she'd experienced and about her photography until after she passed, and he found all of these photographs and negatives up in the attic. And I think it was really it was really sweet to watch on YouTube. There's a movie that was co-produced by Kate Winslet, and she stars as Lee Miller. It's just called Lee.
Okay, gotcha.
And her son, Lee Miller's son, Tony, I think he's Anthony.
Gotcha.
He's a big part of the movie because, of course, he found these journals and these photos and helped piece together her life. Kate Winslet said they worked for 8 or 9 years together on this. Aww. And in the process, he's also opened his parents' house since his dad was this realist painter and she's the photographer. So it's kind of like an art commune, their house in whatever part of England. I don't remember.
There you go. Right. Yeah.
But it was very healing for Tony because throughout her life, after experiencing all of this, she really struggled with alcohol. Gotcha. And wasn't always the best or most present mother.
She was probably stuffing down a lot.
Yes. Yeah. Really just, locking it away.
Yeah.
Instead of being able to heal from it.
Right. And so he had no idea what she went through or was still going through.
Right. Yeah. So he even says, she was a complicated lady, maybe not the best mother because of these various issues. But it's sweet. The movie's definitely worth watching.
Gotcha.
It also mentions that she did find creative outlet in gourmet cooking.
Oh,
she went to a 3-month course in Paris.
Oh, wow. That's
in
the
her
place
50s.
To go. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, and spent a lot of time cultivating that and was even working on writing a cookbook and all of that. But she...
A Second Life as Julia Child.
Right. But she passed away in 1977 from lung cancer. And if you watch the Kate Winslet movie... You'll see why. It's kind of a drinking, chain-smoking existence. But, we are taking World War II through the 70s, people. So that's just,
We all had PSTD in a different way.
Yep. And we all smoked a couple packs a day.
Right.
Back in the day. But I loved learning about her life. And I actually bought a copy of his biography of her to donate to the library. I'll probably read it first.
Yes,
but
read
I'm like,
it first. Yes, yeah.
Just... Yeah. The Kate Winslet movie only focuses on Lee Miller's life during that World War II photojournalism time.
Okay, all right.
So I feel like I don't know enough about her other lives. Talking about rabbit holes. I need to learn more about those time periods.
Highly
I don't know what the heck she was doing in Egypt.
Exactly.
And why was she bored?
Why did she get bored?
Why did she get bored? I like that. She did get divorced when she got pregnant, though. So
okay, all right.
They took care of that. Don't worry. I know you guys were, cliffhanger with that.
No, I figured she handled it.
Yeah. She's a woman who could handle a lot. So
exactly. She sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's fun learning about her.
Exactly. I like that.
Are y'all ready for me to wrap us up?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes, go for it.
Well, that wraps it up for us this week. Join us next week as another creative expression gal is picked to share as Gal's Guide podcast continues. Thanks for listening.
Want to learn about more women of history? Gal's Guide opened a unique women's history lending library. Come visit and explore our collection. Learn more at galsguide.org. Thanks for listening.